got obviously 9 days to the trade deadline here. I mean, I guess if we're being frank, two guys that have been in the spotlight, maybe more than others, have been Bristolina and Scott Lawton. How do you view where they're at, their place in the organization right now, and how much do you worry that they could?
It's your spotlight. You have them.
Yeah, it's a lot of spotlights, I guess.
What other spotlights?
Well, I'm just saying those are the two names that come up most often when it comes to.
That you guys talk about, not me.
Right.
Big part of our team.
Bristolina obviously is one of the few guys you have with size, right?
Most improved player since I started here. He's our most improved player.
Yeah. And the size is something that as an organization.
Size, righty, escapes, uses his legs. He's been the most improved player since I've coached here.
John, I know in regards to the trade deadline, you said like you can't fall in love with players. Like, is that the balance you guys have to fight here, where Ristolainen's been really good for you, Lawton's a leader, but you might have to make tough decisions?
Who's trading Ristolainen?
Well, I think it's rather obvious just looking at his contract and where you guys stand in your rebuild.
To me, it's a friendly contract for us. Yeah.
I think it's a lot of conversations with those two guys are your, are guys that other teams will want. I think that's why they're part of the conversation more than anything else. And obviously the Flyers want too.
I'm out.
But
I'm out of the conversation. You have to talk to the people that do that, not me.
With Lawton, obviously, you lost two guys, popular guys in the room when you traded Morgan and Joel. Is there less of a risk? How do I want to phrase this without pissing you off? Is he sorry?
That's a slippery slope right now, Ken.
How important is he still to the culture of the room? Because I know you guys talk about that fairly often. How important is he still to what you're building here, or are you comfortable with the way things are that you can potentially remove pieces now?
No, and don't get me wrong. You're always looking to improve your team. We have to improve our team. So from what Danny is listening. He has to listen because we're in that stage. We have to improve our team. So with Scotty's loved here, but you can't fall in love. And I'll give you this, and I'm not trying to be a smartass. I just think Risto is always a target where if you end up trading him, then if you trade him on when's the deadline? What day? Friday. Then on Saturday you say, shit, I need a big right-handed defenseman. You're always looking for that big right-handed defenseman. So these are the conversations that we as coaches have with their managers you talk about. But I do think you have to listen because you can't fall in love. If there's something that really is a good situation for the time frame that we're in with our team right now, I'm sure Danny's going to look really hard at it. So I don't think anybody is a lock, I guess you'd say. You have to listen, but you just can't make a trade because you think you have to make a trade. It's really a dangerous trading deadline is a dangerous situation. I think free agency is a time of a year that you can screw up your team for years because of the money that's being spent at that time, and you're basically almost bidding against yourself half the time. Trading deadline's scary too, but we have to get better. And when you try to get better, there are going to be some casualties. I'll put it to you that way.
Do you think the last 4 games?
And we can't worry about. He was loved in the room. You can't. You have to assess everything that's going on because we have to keep moving forward.
That was a worry though previously, right? It's less of a worry now than it was maybe 2 years ago.
Yes, I do, because I think we've defined it. I think we've been very transparent about that, and it sucks, but Danny, and I don't want to speak for Danny, but I know he's listening. He has to, because we have to get better, and you just don't say, okay, he's a great guy in the room, If there's a chance we get better at certain situations, you have to do things.
Do you think that these last 4 or 5 games, if things were to turn and you got back into it, that would have impact on what you guys do as far as personnel at the deadline?
It's a hard one. last year we traded a very important part of our team in Walker, and we're not there. We're not there, but we're going to try to get in. We're going to keep on trying to get in. We win a few more in a row. Does it say to the manager we want to be there? Yeah, but I still think you can't miss any steps here as far as staying in neutral and hoping. We have to get better as a team. If we want to be competitive and a competitive playoff team, we have to be better in personnel-wise. And that's certainly not running down our personnel. But every team is trying to get better. We have to do the same thing, especially the situation we're in.
John, how do you balance that, though, as a coach, where you sit here and say, we need to get better personnel, we need to get better players,
Yeah.
but you have these guys here who
Yeah.
are trying,
Yeah.
their hardest to
Yes.
be the guys. How do you balance that message, I guess?
By being honest. I owe it to those players, and I'm with them every day. When it comes to this situation, I tell them every deadline, you have any questions, you have any thoughts, I'm going to answer the questions. And sometimes it's questions Danny probably doesn't even want me to answer, but I'm going to answer them because that's what I owe to them. And I'm not running them down. I love working with this team. They play hard. We've been inconsistent. We go through these things as we'll probably go through the next 20 plus. But I love working with them. And if some have moved in the sake of us trying to get better, maybe opening up another avenue to try to get better, you'll feel bad about it. But this is a business. This is part of it. And we can't have soft skin here, and because you get stuck in the mud. And I think this organization has been stuck in the mud for a number of years. And we have to stay true to what Dan Hilferty, Jonesy, myself, and Danny have talked about, that we can't fall in love. If we think we can make our team better and keep progressing to be a more competitive team, we're going to do it. And there's going to be some casualties.
Talking about the idea of making the team better, obviously, in a way, especially with the kinds of trades that happen at the deadline, that's a subjective thing, because what's a second-round pick versus a first-round pick? What's a first-round pick and a prospect versus a prospect? Do you have input on where that line is, where it becomes getting better?
Danny and I have constant conversations about this, and and they'll ramp up here, right, as we get closer. I think Danny has been fantastic in getting information from the coaching staff down there as far as what we think our needs are, as far as our evaluation of players. We have a number of players that have been here a number of years, and we continue to evaluate. And to me, there is some. I have some strong thoughts as far as I don't think they're going to be on the bus, and that's not to run them down. It's just I need to be honest with my general manager about that. So, how much input? I don't know. Danny's been very transparent with us. I think it's I love working with him because we're very open in our dialogue, and Jonesy's the same way. So, I think it's imperative that the general manager gets information for the coaching staff that are dealing with these players every day in practice, on games, in the bench, in the locker room, how they act, how they carry themselves in the weight room, all that. I think they need that information before you come up with a final determination. Are they on the bus? Or we got to look to move them. Maybe it'll help us down the road in a future situation to make us better.
Do you get, when you have these conversations with Danny, does it get as specific, as granular as, you say, maybe it's a good move if we move this guy, if we get a first-round pick offered, if it's a second-round pick, don't take that deal? Does it get that specific?
Danny will talk to me about, and he has, about what may be offered, what team, and he'll ask me, and I'll tell him the truth. It's my job. And no one likes, I have to give him the information, what I think about that specific player, if that's the player being talked about in a deal, a free agency, if we look to sign someone, what kind of information you have on him. I give it to him. It's my job, and I'm not going to circumvent that. I'm not going to shy away from it. And to me, it's not being disrespectful to them. It's being honest, and that's the only way I know how to do it with the players and with my manager.
Last one. I have a question, and no disrespect here, but when you talk about who will be on the bus moving forward, your tenure is couple years,
Yeah.
one year, 2 years, maybe.
Now, how do you know that?
Well, I'm just saying, but how do you determine?
Well, how do you know what my tenure is?
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but we all know you have 1 year left on your contract.
Yes.
This year. So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
How do you determine who's on the bus when maybe it'd be a different coach down the road?
Because
You know what I'm saying?
yes, no, none taken at all. I make decisions what's best for the hockey team, and while I'm the head coach here, I don't look at how many years I have left or whatever it may be or what they're going to do. I've never done my job or gone about my decision making, all my information to my general manager based on trying to keep my job or whatever that may be. Whenever questions asked of me in this type of situation, I'm going to be honest today, tomorrow, the next day, until the Danny says, "Get the hell out of here. We're done with you." That's my job, and I never worry about tenure or what's left of my contract. No,
My question was more along the lines of, you have your coaching style and your philosophy.
yes.
Somebody else can come in and someone can excel under them, right? Like that's
Yeah.
what you talk about, changing sceneries with
Yeah.
guys.
Yes.
So I guess that's my question is, down the road, how do you determine who's on the bus when it could be a different coaching style down the road, if that makes
Who
sense?
mean different my coaching style,
Well, like,
or a different coach?
Both, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Because someone comes in to be completely
That's a
different.
question you have to ask Danny, because Danny asked me a question. It's pretty simple. There's not a lot of gray area. He asks me a question, I answer it. Good, bad, or ugly, I'm going to give him my honest answer. Danny's going to have to make the decision, well, I'm not so sure he's going to be here. How much of that information am I going to use? So you're asking the wrong guy. Go right ahead and ask Danny. Those questions don't bother me. I really don't give a what people think, how long I'm going to be here, or should he be here. That stuff never bothers me. I'm so locked into trying to do my job the best I can each and every day for those guys. The other nonsense that's out there, it's noise to me. And you have a perfect right, whoever's doing it or whatever may be going on, that's part of the business, but that never influences how I go about my business. Never and never will. Thanks, guys. Okay? Thanks, guys.